Hi, welcome. I'm Mary and I hook books. I crochet things that are inspired by the audiobook that I'm listening to. And this is going to be another weekly vlog letting you know what I'm reading and what I'm crocheting. I think I'm gonna try like some other booktubers to tell you in the beginning what I'm reading. So we'll see if I remember to do that in the future. But I'm gonna get some Yahtzee Croshaw, some Differently Morpheus, as well as Keep It in the Family by John Mars, The Only One Left by Riley Sager, Astra by Jack Campbell, and Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harris. So I think it's gonna be a really good week. So let's go. Differently Morpheus follows a girl who gets kicked out of secret magic school for not having magic, and she gets hired by the Ministry of Magic, and they're all underground and secretive. And then interdimensional beings just like appear and march down the street, and they're like, "We're here, we're seeking asylum from our realm." And it seems like it should be really great, and I can't really pinpoint what about this story didn't do it for me. I just know I kept zoning out a little bit, and it seemed to kind of meander. The characters are fun. That's one of the things that Yahtzee Croshaw does really well. The acting on the Audible audiobook was good as usual. Yahtzee Croshaw does all of his own audiobooks. So I don't know. I think it was just too long, a little bit meandering, and it's really disappointing because I loved We'll Save the Galaxy for Food and the whole Jack McCune series. I thought that was really funny and a great little space romp. But Differently Morpheus had a really good premise, and it seemed like it should be right up my alley, but I was just zoning out and not really caring. Like, I don't know if it was just me being weirdly slumpy after reading a lot of dark books, or I don't know, but I'm disappointed. One left is my first Riley Sager, and I know he gets a lot of crap for how he writes his female characters. This is also one of his better ones from what I've heard online, and I mean, from the rumors about him, I expected it to be worse. The writing, I would say, is around the quality of Frida McFadden, but I don't think it's on purpose. There's a lot of just being overly dramatic and stating the same thing over and over again, and the plot holes, oh my goodness. Like, the twist at the end, I was like, wait, what? No, what? It was a lot of fun, like, watching a bad movie. So I did not have a bad time, and I finished this book, but it's not fabulous by any stretch of the imagination. But, you know, now I can say I've read a Riley Sager. Today at work, the dehumidifier died, then the air conditioning died, then my boss forgot to book some people, and so the schedule got all sorts of jacked up. And then I stayed with our front desk for 45 minutes after my shift, again, while the AC is blowing hot air. So we get another pajamas update. I am home. My weekend starts now. I have pineapple lemonade seltzer. I've got my Zalata pizza sweet revenge. I'm about to dig into that. This weekend I finished Such Sharp Teeth, and oh my gosh, I loved this so much. You can read it as just a fun werewolf tale, but it also is so deep. It's such an amazing allegory for the trauma of just being a woman. And there's parallels to menopause, to pregnancy, and of course to assault. So it was just so well done, and I really like the character's sense of humor. I think Rachel Harris also wrote The Return, and I think she's really good at writing women and their relationships. And people are like, oh, well, of course she could write women. She's a woman. But that is not true. Like, Colleen Hoover exists. So, yeah, she is really great at writing women, writing families, writing allegories for experiences that are very deep and heavy, but adding those supernatural elements gives you a little bit of distance so you can still acknowledge the heavy topic without it, frankly, just being too depressing. So I loved that so much. 5 stars. And I'm 90% of the way through All in the Family, or Keep It in the Family, by John Mars. So you may or may not get another pajama update here shortly. Such a productive weekend, none of which involved getting out of my pajamas, which was kind of great. I kind of just rearranged and got rid of a bunch of boxes and got my apartment a little bit more homey. And now I'm on my exercise bike trying to compensate for not leaving the house for 2 days. So I finished Keep It in the Family, and I love John Mars. I really do. He was one of my first thriller authors, even though I don't consider The One to be really thriller. I consider that more sci-fi, but I guess there was stuff that was thrilling. But Keep It in the Family starts with this couple that is having issues conceiving, and they're like, you know what, we'll just buy a house, but you know, economy and such. So they get a house at auction that has not been lived in 40 years because they think some serial killers might have lived there. And what do you know, when they are breaking down the attic and everything, or breaking down the house so that they can take down walls, make it more open concept, they go to the attic and discover 7 suitcases full of dead children. So it goes from there, and this was so twisty. And not in a, here's a twist just to have a twist, because thrillers are twisty. in a way that constantly made sense and moved the plot forward. So, I mean, it's a thriller, it's a mystery. I can't give too much away. This is a serial killer story, and it's also a story about family drama, hence keep it in the family. And I feel like most books would have stopped about 2/3 in, and then the third really gave it a unique kind of a twist. It's a little long because of that, so that's why it's not a perfect 5-star, but I really loved this, and I would definitely say if you are into thriller stuff, there's nothing super gruesome or anything. There is maybe some triggers for like infertility, family stuff, but yeah, it was really great and I loved it. Ad Astra means to the stars in, I think, Latin. And there was a really good movie with Brad Pitt and Tommy Lee Jones a couple of years ago, and it hit me so hard. Like, I identified so much with him. Just the, like, everything is stressful around me, but, you know, I'm good. I'm good. I'm always good. And literally the second he starts to show emotion, they take him off the mission, even though, like, he's finding his, what they thought to be his dad. Like, so I loved that movie. Like, it's very slow and melancholy, but I loved it. So I was like, oh, Ad Astra, I'll add that to my TBR. And like most things on my TBR, I didn't remember much about it when I finally picked it up. And I didn't realize this is a book of short stories. The very first story gave me huge Firefly vibes. And a couple of the other stories, all like they had really interesting, thought provoking possibilities of what might happen. Like, I generally don't like generation ships, but I did like some of the concepts that he explored about what could happen on intergenerational ships. So that was really cool. It's also a short book, so if you want some good short stories out in the stars, a lot of them are hopeful, some of them are a little depressing, but like most of them are really good. One of them is super meta about a guy writing a science fiction story and sending it to his editor over and over again, and his editor being like, nope, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do that, and then it ending up a different story. So that was really cool. So yeah, Ad Astra was excellent. Thank you for joining me again this week, and thank you for sticking around till the end of the video. I hope that you have a really great spooky season. I hope wherever you are, your fall is not 93 degrees like mine. Or if that's your thing, I hope it is 93 degrees. It's just not my thing, but we're gonna compensate with pumpkin spice and kitty cuddles, so it's all good. We're gonna take care of ourselves by making some good Sriracha chicken with vegetables and brown rice. And I hope that you treat yourself to a good nutritious meal, a good nap, some exercise, whatever really feeds your soul. And just remember, shoulders back, head up, and breathe.